The music didn't stop by accident. It stopped because everyone suddenly understood what I had just done. Glasses froze mid-air, smiles collapsed, and my wife's face drained of color as she realized this party, this perfect little performance, had never been for celebration. It had been a setup. And I was already gone. My wife insisted I attend the party with a softness in her voice that felt rehearsed, like lines memorized for a role she'd practiced too long. She adjusted my jacket, smiled brightly, and told me it would mean a lot to her if I came, as if my presence would complete the picture she wanted everyone else to see. The venue was packed with sound, music loud enough to drown thoughts, laughter sharp and exaggerated, lights flickering like nothing here was meant to last. The moment we stepped inside, her hand slipped from mine naturally, almost instinctively. She walked ahead without looking back, already absorbed into the crowd. I stood there for a second too long, realizing I wasn't her partner tonight. I was a prop. And props don't ask questions. I blended into the background, nodding, smiling, pretending to enjoy conversations that meant nothing. But I was watching, always watching. My wife moved through the room with a confidence I hadn't seen at home in months, her laugh lighter, her posture relaxed, like she had shed something heavy. Then the door opened, and everything inside me went quiet. He walked in like he belonged there, tall, calm, familiar in the worst possible way. The same man she had sworn was just a friend. The one whose name appeared too often in conversations, whose texts always arrived late, whose presence was always explained but never questioned. When his eyes found hers, they shared a look too quick to notice, but too loaded to deny. In that moment, I didn't feel anger. I felt confirmation. She introduced him to the group effortlessly, her hand resting on his arm as if it had always been there. When she finally turned to me, her smile tightened just slightly. "This is my husband," she said, like an afterthought, then returned her attention to him. He shook my hand firmly, holding it longer than necessary, his eyes studying my face with something close to curiosity, maybe even pity. I smiled back, raised my glass, and said nothing. Silence can be powerful when it's chosen. Inside my head, memories rearranged themselves. Late nights, vague explanations, sudden arguments, emotional distance disguised as stress. It all made sense now. They weren't hiding well anymore. They were just assuming I wouldn't dare see. As the night continued, I watched them closely without making it obvious. The way they leaned toward each other when they spoke. The shared smiles that didn't include anyone else. The casual touches that lingered half a second too long. This wasn't a mistake. It wasn't confusion. It was comfort. People danced, drank, laughed, unaware that something rotten sat right in the middle of the room. And the strangest part was how calm I felt. No rage. No shaking hands. Just clarity. Because weeks ago, I had stopped asking questions and started paying attention. I hadn't confronted her. I hadn't argued. I had waited. And patience, I had learned, always sees more than emotion ever could. I stepped away quietly, finding a corner where the music softened and my thoughts sharpened. This wasn't the first proof, just the most public one. I remembered the screenshots saved in silence, the messages she thought were gone forever, the photos reflected in mirrors she forgot existed. Tonight wasn't about discovery. It was about timing. The crowd was drunker now, louder, careless. People felt safe. That's when the truth does the most damage. I checked the room, watched my wife laugh again, completely unaware that she had already lost control of the story. She thought she was hosting a party. She didn't realize she had stepped onto a stage she no longer owned. Someone suggested a toast. Glasses rose. The music lowered. Attention finally centered. I stepped forward calmly, my voice steady, almost warm. I thanked everyone for being there, for celebrating something special. I spoke about honesty, about trust, about how brave people are when they live without secrets. My wife looked at me then, confused, uneasy, sensing something but not yet understanding it. I smiled at her, not with anger, not with sadness, but with finality. That smile unsettled her more than shouting ever could. Because it wasn't emotional. It was resolved. Instead of finishing the speech, I placed my phone on the table and unlocked the screen. Messages, photos, dates, proof that needed no explanation. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. Someone reached for the music, then froze. The silence spread fast and heavy. My wife's face went pale as realization crashed into her all at once. Her friend stepped back instinctively, suddenly aware of how exposed he was. No one spoke. No one laughed. I didn't accuse. I didn't explain. I didn't argue. I simply left the truth where everyone could see it, and walked away. Behind me, the party collapsed. Whispers turned sharp. Glasses lowered. Questions erupted without answers. Someone called my name. I didn't turn around. Outside, the air felt clean, cool, honest. For the first time in a long while, my chest felt light. Not because I had won, but because I was done. Done pretending. Done competing. Done explaining my worth to someone who had already decided to risk it. The night continued without me, but whatever version of that party they remembered would never be the same. I had taken something with me that couldn't be replaced. Control. The story spread quickly. People remembered the silence more than the proof. The moment the music died. The look on her face. Some said I was cruel. Others said I was calm. But everyone agreed on one thing. It was unforgettable. My wife tried to call later, then text, then explain. I didn't block her out of anger. I blocked her out of clarity. She had made her choice loudly. I responded quietly. And that contrast was something she never expected. That night became a dividing line in my life. Before it, I was the man trying to hold something together alone. After it, I was the man who walked away without begging, screaming, or breaking. Betrayal survives in secrecy, but it dies under light. My exit wasn't dramatic. It was deliberate. And long after the music restarted and the mess was cleaned, one thing remained true. That party would always be remembered for all the wrong reasons. And I would always remember it as the night I chose myself, and never looked back.